Hey guys, welcome back to ND Cubing. I'm your host, ND Cuber. Today, I have a really exciting video for you guys that I think you're really going to enjoy. This video goes over every single main 3x3 that I've ever had since I started cubing in August of 2015. This video really means a lot to me. I put a lot of work into it, and it was really fun to just go back and to look at all my cubes and I guess just kind of turn them and play with them. That sounds kind of silly, but I hope you guys enjoy the video. So without further ado, let's begin. The first era of cubing for me was the pre-speed cubing era. I learned how to solve a cube in August of 2015 when I was in third grade. And I didn't really, know a lot about speed cubing other than the fact that I could just solve a cube in around like 2 minutes. This is my first ever cube that wasn't a speed cube. It's just a Rubik's brand. This is my brother's old cube from when he was a kid. As you can see, there's like scotch tape on the red side because some of the stickers have started to peel. I learned how to solve Rubik's cube, with this cube, and this is what started it all. These are some also like pre-speed cubing era puzzles. Like these are my first, they're replicas of my first ever speed cubes. My original Along version 2 got lost to time, and I had a lot of Zanchis. This is the only one that really survived that's worth looking at and is very nice. But this is just an Along version 2 to like symbolize like what I had. But these are cubes that I was playing with when I was 9 years old, and these were a lot of fun back in the day, and now they're really showing their age. This is a pre-magnet era of speed cubing. This is 2016. I know nowadays I don't think any cuber can imagine one of their puzzles without having magnets in it, but back then we didn't have magnets. This is Volk, GAN Air, and then GAN's Air, and then a Moyu Weilong GTS. I did a terrible job stickering this cube. Oh my gosh, that was awful because I had never done it before. My Along version 2 would come stickered, and then just oh my god, it's kind of very nostalgic just to turn these cubes and then just a Volk. I magnetized this Volk just because I wanted to, and this isn't even my original Volk, unfortunately. But these are just representations of with the hardware that we had. It's kind of funny now turning a Volk. It doesn't even it feels very blocky. It doesn't really feel like I could even main it now. But this is like my 2016 eras of mains. I was averaging like very slow, and I wanted a speed cube, but the progression was very non-linear. I stayed slow for a long time. The 2017 era of speed cubing was arguably the best. We had some of the best cubes ever come out. Unfortunately, not all of these are mine. I had a lot of cubes that I've lost or broken over the years, but these are just, I guess, mementos to what was back then. We have a GTS-2M from the Cubicle, an MF3RS-2M, a Goguan Yue Shuao Pro M, a Volk M, a used a Little Magic M, and then a GAN Air SM. These cubes were really when magnets started to get introduced, and I remember their release, and I remember purchasing them and feeling, I guess, just a sense of like enthusiasm and joy towards solving. I still bring them around with me on occasion in my backpack, either when when I'm going to the gym or commuting or something along those lines. They're really fun to play with still. But it's really interesting to note how hardware has changed and how the performance of puzzles, it's stayed similar, but at the same time, as you'll see when we go down to the rest of the mains, it's definitely strange. On most of these cubes, I can still average, what I would get on, per se, like a Super V2. But it's definitely just like very interesting to see like the progression of, how cubes have changed and I guess my preferences. For 2018, there wasn't as big a list of cubes that I'd say I liked. I guess I kind of just stuck to, one Moyu and two GAN. The GAN 354M was probably the most noteworthy main of this year, particularly because I was still in middle school, or I was in middle school back in 2018, and my hands were a lot smaller than they are now. I was a lot smaller person, obviously, and this cube very much resonated with me. I've had 3 of them in total, and this is my original one. I really love this cube. And this is the GAN X. The GAN X was also a phenomenal puzzle. This has the IPG system, which was really neat, and I had never thought of a cube that could have that. And this cube kind of sparked an interest in engineering for me. I was very fascinated by how a cube could work. And I guess it kind of set like an idea in my head of like having,
same tensions, or having reproducible tensions, which was a very foreign concept, but it was very cool. And then with the GTS 3, I also really enjoyed this puzzle. Even though the ridges, it kind of made it feel weird, and the cube was very big, it still was phenomenal to solve with, and all of these cubes are really fun. I enjoyed all of them to the fullest, and I'd say they were great mains. During 2019, I only had 2 cubes that I really enjoyed. I have a GAN XS that came out during 2019, but I didn't really use it as much as I used these cubes. This is a Volk Elite M. Keeping in tradition, I really love the Volk series. That was one of my favorite cubes. It was a cube that got me back into cubing, and I think kept me in it. And I thought this cube was phenomenal. With the WRM 2019, I also really enjoyed this cube. This cube, it was just used a ton for me. I brought it to class, I brought it everywhere, and I loved how quiet and smooth it was. And it was just 2019 was kind of a weird year, but for me. But these cubes, I guess, definitely kept me in the hobby, and these are the cubes that I started to solve on, and when I was solving on them, I was starting to average sub 20, or getting sub 20 singles, which was, I guess, kind of weird because I've been cubing for so long, and there was not a lot of progression, but I really liked these cubes. 2020 was my year to shine. That was the year that I improved a lot, and I started, going from averaging 20 seconds to, starting to average 16 and 17, which, was a pretty good growth for me. That was the year I entered high school, and even though it was the year of the pandemic, it was a lot of fun for me that I could just, sit back, relax, and enjoy cubing. The WRM 2020 was my favorite cube that came out that year. Even though this isn't my original one, I gave that to a buddy. I got another one because of how much I enjoyed it. The GAN 11M Pro was also a fascinating cube for that time. This isn't my original GAN 11M Pro, but this is just a representation. I love the tech inside of this cube. I thought it was amazing, and I use this everywhere. The corner-to-core magnets were really something special. And then the Tangyun version 2, I also really liked that cube. I thought having magnets on a swivel was really neat. And I love using this cube because it was so quiet and reminded me of the version 1, even though I didn't even main it. 2021 was a funny year for me. It was kind of the year that I was also starting to keep with cubing, and I think it led to where I am now, or put in the building blocks for where I am now. It was a year that I started averaging 12, kind of. And it was the year that the WRM 2021 came out. As you can see, this cube is heavily discolored, but I absolutely adored this cube. It was so much fun, and I got 2 of them when they came out, and that's partially why this thing is still intact. It was just an overall really nice cube, and I loved it as a main, as well as when the Tornado version 2 came out. This was another great puzzle that I think a lot of people enjoyed. I think the tension system on it was just superb. I had never seen another cube like it, and having proprietary technology, at least for reproducible tensions, was really something neat. There were a lot of flaws with this cube, but at the same time, I really liked it. I used both of these cubes very consistently, and they were great mains. 2022 was when I first started to see, drastic improvement in my times. I was starting to get 10-second singles, and that's the year that I first saw my first sub 10, single. I really, liked that year. I thought there were, some interesting puzzles that came out, like the GAN 13, but the Tornado version 3 and the Yo Cube Deluxe were the cubes that really stuck out for me as main speed cubes. The Tornado version 3 was a cube that I absolutely adored, and I thought was really good. Since then, my turning style has changed. Along with that, the Yo Cube Deluxe, I absolutely love this cube. Since it's just a maglev version of the regular WRM 2021, I really enjoyed that cube a lot. This cube is very fast right now because there's no lube in it, and the maglev kind of makes it that way. Most of my cubes are cleaned out once in a while, so that's why this cube is wicked fast. But these cubes are really enjoyable, and I started to see a lot of growth in my solves, and I attribute it to these puzzles, for pushing it forward. 2023 was a great year for speed cubing, at least for me. I loved that year. It was a year when a lot of things started to go right for me. I was losing weight, and not only that, I was getting faster, a lot faster. 2023 was the first year that I ever saw me getting a sub 10 average of 5, which was really cool to me. I had never thought I could achieve that, and now my average of 5, for at least PB is 7, and I don't know, that year was just really neat. I was progressing at least every week. I was seeing something really cool, and I attribute it to these 2 cubes. This is a YS3M, which is still one of my mains today. I love this cube, and I recommend it to people who are still looking for a main. This is a great puzzle. And then the V9, this is the 8 magnet ball core. I did a lot of weird things to this cube. I modified it heavily, and I tried coating the inside of the pieces with GAN plastic. But this is the original V9 that I had, and I love that cube. I thought it was a great cube upon release, and I have nothing negative to say about it. Absolutely amazing puzzle. 2023 was just a great year for main speed cubes in my opinion. 2024 is so far in the past already, which is crazy, but I only really use MoYu cubes. I think 2024 is when MoYu started to show its dominance, especially after 2023 with other releases. They were a very solid brand, even though they had made a couple of weird mistakes or a couple of weird pricing choices. I thought they really stayed consistent, and this is the V10, which I still really like as a cube today. And then this is a 20 magnet ball core, which is my main speed cube, or one of my mains. It's tied, but I just thought I'd throw it in here because it was released in 2024 and I was using it a lot. These two cubes are really fun to play with and still to solve. Like, they're very entertaining, and that was the year that I started to go to more competitions, and it was first competition actually, which is weird. And then I started to see a lot of growth, and I attributed a lot to these puzzles. So they're great cubes, and I don't really have anything negative to say about them. I thought 2024 was a great year. It's the first year that I saw significant improvement in my singles and my solves, and just understanding theory as a whole, I got a lot better at. So it's also the year I graduated high school. So these cubes were just great, and I still love them. They're awesome. Last but not least, we have 2025. Besides the worm ball core spring mod, we have the Pharaoh core and the Super version 2. I said a lot of things about the Super version 2, but after finding a right setup, I think I really like this cube. I just got my personal best average of 100 on here, which is an 8.9 something, but this cube's really, really good. You just have to find a really slow and controllable setup. Definitely with the springs, the magnet's too fast, and you want to make sure you have strong but not too strong magnets, and definitely think about using Gravitas and Silk with maybe some Calm. It definitely makes a really nice feel. As for the Pharaoh core, still a really good cube. This cube I got when it first came out. I pre-ordered it immediately, and I really liked it. I thought it was a great cube. I have nothing negative to say about it, and I still use it, just not as frequently as I use the Super or the 20 magnet ball core version 9. Honestly, I kind of just jump between all those cubes. Whatever feels good, I use. I'll even pop out like a GTS 2 and use it because it's fun. Like, I really have no preference. Like, I'm not really going for speed as much as I used to, but it's still nice to improve, and I improve on these cubes, and I don't see a need to change. A lot of people ask me what my most noteworthy main is, and this is my answer. The MoYu Weilong GTS2 is my most notable main. I love this cube. This is one of many that I have. I have around 10 GTS2s, and the reason why I love this cube is because I think it was the best engineered cube ever. Out of any cube that I think, in terms of my opinion, this cube I think made the biggest difference in speed cubing. The reason why I think that is because the performance was exponential compared to its precursor, the GTS1. This cube sparked a lot of people, getting into modding speed cubes. This was a cube that Chris Tran used to, polymer coat and boron treat a lot of his 3x3s. This cube is very popular. This cube had the first ever sub 4 single broken on it in competition by Yu Shengdu. Overall, this cube is just a really nice puzzle, and I think it's my favorite main. It has the most notoriety, and I think for that reason, it's my favorite main, and I think for that reason, it's my favorite cube in my entire collection.